Hey YouTube, Scary Barry coming at you here. I got good news today. I know you've all been waiting just like I have. I got a package from UPS today, but I want to show you something here. This box is clearly marked top, right? Up. Has the word up and top all over this box. Clearly marked properly. This is how it was delivered. Just like this. Standing straight up like that by UPS. But hopefully no damage got done, and it sure wouldn't be anybody's fault but UPS. It's clearly marked well. But I do want to point this out too before I get into it. There's a hole in it right here. So hopefully it didn't hit anything important. But we're gonna get this thing up here. We're gonna get it all unboxed and put back together, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to finally get this back. And anyway, let's do this thing. Let's get it back together. Okay, guys, listen, before we get started, I want to take the time to say a few things. First and foremost, thank you to Kurt Pfister for letting me ship this machine out to you and for taking the time to get me hopefully fixed and flying it in the air. But I want to give a big thank you to a gentleman by the name of Tim Garvey. He has a YouTube channel, and there's actually a YouTube video of him tearing this machine apart and fixing and finding things that he believes is wrong with it. So he went above and beyond, guys. He ultrasonic cleaned a lot of stuff. He cleaned up the piston and the head and things like that. So I want to give a huge shout out to Tim Garvey. The guy's just a genuine guy. I think he really cares and wants to get me in the air and get me flying. I offered to send him some money. He said no, he didn't want any money. He didn't even want a gift card somewhere to eat, somewhere else to go out nice and eat. So Tim, thank you. And like I said, there's a link to that video below. You'll see this machine getting torn apart. But there was also another video, which I'm going to also put a link below. You can watch if you want. Guys, one of the hardest things that I have in the world to deal with is being called untruthful or a liar and having to prove yourself innocent. That is just a terrible feeling to know you're telling the truth, but not being able to convince anybody else of that. There's several examples of that, but the one I want to point out is the one that was made public. I was accused of having this machine tore apart and putting RTV sealant on the heads and things like that. And guys, I just didn't do that. I mean, I never had the machine apart that far. I just don't know what I'm doing enough to do something like that. But as much as I said that, there was RTV found on the inside when they pulled the head apart. And I was told that just can't happen, that it just doesn't happen with the Fresh Breeze. They don't come with RTV there. So I was a little upset. I was a little... I wanted to find out what was going on. Did I get a used machine? Did somebody else tear it apart? Because I know it wasn't me. So I actually called Chris Bowles down in at Southern Skies, and I asked him. I says, "Hey man," I said, "can you help me maybe think of a reason why there would be RTV inside of there?" And Chris told me, believe it or not, that all Monster motors, just the Monster motors, come directly shipped from the factory that way. They do have RTV already in them, so that was kind of a validation for me. I wish that maybe that can be taken into consideration. That, guys, I'm not trying to tell a story here. I'm not trying to do anything false. I'm just trying to fly. I'm just trying to have fun. So watch the videos that they posted, and I just wanted to let you know that is one thing I was able to show. It comes that way, guys. I didn't do it. So like I said, one of the hardest things you got to do is prove your innocence on something you know you're innocent at. But anyway, with that aside, I want to say thank you again for going above and beyond, both Flight Junkies and Tim Garvey. You guys rock it, man. We're going to get this tore apart. Hopefully there's no damage from the UPS shipping, which again has nothing to do with anybody but UPS if there is. So it was boxed up properly. It was marked properly. But we're going to tear into this. We're going to get it open. We're going to get it all put back together, and we're going to fire it up. Now, I'm not going to be able to fly it today because Tim did suggest that I change the coil on that. So I can start it, but it's not really suggested that I fly. We need to change that coil out. It had some loose wires and stuff in there. So I do want to do that before I actually put it in the air. But guys, we're that much closer, right? I've got a good running motor. I've got it all refreshed, all ready to go. I'm going to replace that part, and we're going to be flying. But I thank you again, Tim. If you guys get a chance, go check out Tim's channel, Tim Garvey. Like I said, there's a link below. Go check it out and see what he's all about. He's a super guy, super great guy. So anyway, let's get to it, guys, and let's get started. Let's do this thing. Okay guys, so far so good. Doesn't look like there was any damage from the UPS shipping, even though there was a hole in the box and it was coming the wrong direction. Everything looks great. It was packaged very well. Had supports in here and plenty of support on all the major parts. So everything turned out great. So now it's just a matter of putting all the parts back together, starting it up, and see how she runs. Let's get at it. Okay guys, another thing I wanted to address real quick, another thing that Kurt pointed out was the fuel filter. He said the fuel filter looked like it hadn't been changed in 3 years. The truth of the fact is I had changed it a month before I sent it to him. So why that was so plugged up looking, he said he blew through it and it hardly went through, so he went ahead and put a new one in. So I don't know what happened there. Only thing, I ordered the parts directly from Southern Skies. So I don't have the old filter to look at, but I don't know why it would have looked so used and so old. But anyway, he did put a new fuel filter in it. Maybe I just got a bad one from Southern Skies, but it's the only thing I can think of. But I did want to point out there's also a new fuel filter installed in the engine. Now, another thing I wanted to point out too, guys, is this gasket that goes on the reeds right here. They found that in the video to be on the wrong side of the intake part here. The gasket was in the wrong place. That one's on me because I've had this apart so many times. I'm telling you what, the whole reason I took it apart to begin with wasn't that I was using a lot of fuel, is that I had fuel on the back of here. It was wet, and I thought maybe that was what was causing the fuel flow. It wasn't stopping the pressure from letting the fuel come back, and it was somehow coming out of here. Tim had a really good idea that I never checked. Right here is an overflow tube. And as I'm going down the field, his theory is that as I'm bumping around, I don't know if you can see this, I'm going to move you in a little closer. His theory is as I'm bumping around, this overflow tube is jiggling a little bit, which is letting some fuel come up through the overflow and spraying right back on here. That makes absolutely perfect sense. Now, something he said to try, and the next time I fly, check it before I drive it back to my garage here, because if the field's bumpy and it's jiggling, it may be spraying it back there on the way back to the garage, not while I'm in the air. So it makes perfect sense. It's very logical, and I'm going to check that out next time I run it and fly it. And because they did run this machine for 45 minutes to an hour and they had no fuel back here at all, so that would make sense that this bouncing would cause that issue. But we're going to check that out and find out. But yeah, let's keep going. Let's get this thing put together and start it up and see how she sounds. Okay guys, we got the main cage assembled. We've got all these other parts put on. The carburetor is put on. I've got some stuff fastened in, nothing permanent yet. There's some checks we still got to do. But right now I'm going to install the propeller system on the Fresh Breeze. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through what I'm doing with it. It can be confusing if you don't know what you're doing, but once you do it a few times, it's not so bad. And you can go... Flight Junkies, Kurt Pfister does have a video up, shows you how to do this, and that's where I went to practice a few times. That video is very informative, but if you want, I'll kind of walk you through as I do it, kind of let you know what I'm looking for and what I'm doing. So let's get this propeller system put on. Okay, so there are two spacers. There's 1 and 2. There's a flat side and kind of a round side, and there's 6 bolts right here. The propeller system, they do come apart fairly easy. Just pull them apart, put them back together like this. Now what I did do, as per Kurt's advice, if you look on here, I don't know if you can see it too well, but I have a dot on this and a dot on that one. The reason I do that is these propellers are balanced for each other from the factory. And there's 4 of them. When you get them and you put them together, they come in a little bag, so they're separated really well. But when you put them together, you want to make sure these two stay together. So Kurt suggested that we put a little dot on each one, so we know these two go together, and those two don't have a dot, so we know they go together. So in order to put these on, all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this hub. I'm going to turn this a little bit until I get one of these bolt holes right at 12 o'clock. Okay? And then I don't put a spacer on yet. It doesn't go back here. So then I want to be able to see fresh breeze right in front of me. This then slides on. Get it lined up really well. And line it up with that 12 o'clock position with that first one right there. Now we want to take one of these spacers and we simply set it on there as well. Put it right at the 12 o'clock position. Now we want to take our other propeller, get it all ready to go here, get it nice and straight. Put this spacer, and the bevel goes out, flat side down, bevel out, and we want to line it up with the holes. Now we take one of these bolts, and we want to put it in the 1 o'clock position, the one to the right here. I want to line it up right with that, right into the 1 o'clock position. Now when we put it on here, we simply take the 1 o'clock position and move it to the 12, and then we stick it in there. And it should all somewhat line up because we kept it all in that 12 o'clock position. We want to get a little snug, but not tight. And it'll fit right on there like that. Then take another bolt and put it in the 6 o'clock position. Just like so. Tighten it up just a little bit. So as you can see, they're offset a little bit, and down inside of here, if you look in here, these two line up really nice against each other. There's nothing touching, none of the prop is touching, nothing like that. But yeah, that's it. Then simply from here, we're just going to put all the rest of the bolts in, and we're going to kind of tighten them up like you would the lug nuts on your car. You know, we kind of want to go crisscross type of pattern and snug them all up nice and evenly. And I'm sure there's a spec on this. I didn't get an owner's manual with mine, but you can go online to Southern Skies. They have a downloadable and printable owner's manual, but I haven't seen anywhere where there's a torque spec on this. So I just tighten them up really good, and I check on them every time I fly. Pre-maintenance, you know, every pre-flight inspection, I check and make sure they're tight. So anyway, let's finish getting this put back together, and we'll go forward from there. Okay guys, so I got this all tightened up, crisscross pattern, everything's good and snug. There's a few things I still got left to do. I need to set the snorkel here, adjust, and fasten it to the cage, make sure it's good and secure. I want to double check make sure everything's tight from shipping. I want to make sure nothing got loose or jarred while it was being shipped. I want to make sure everything's good and tight. And then I'm going to fasten this to the fly pod here. I'm going to put it on here, which is a really easy thing to do. And then we'll get some fuel in it. We'll change out this cap. This cap is for travel, so there isn't any kind of breather or vent tube in there, as you can see. The one I'm going to put on will have a vent tube that comes out and lets air come in, so it doesn't create a vacuum in there while you're flying it. So we'll change that out, get some fuel in it, and we'll fire it up and we'll take a look at it, and we'll listen to it, see how she runs. I'm so excited. I'm hoping she runs great. So like I said, I'm not going to fly her today, though. I do need to replace that part, which is in the mail. It's on its way here, and as soon as it comes in, we'll put it in, and we'll go for a flight. But let's get this the rest of the way put together and listen to it. See how it sounds. Okay guys, I'm getting ready to put the Monster here onto the trike, and I thought I would kind of show you This is really cool. It's super easy to do with the Fresh Breeze. Basically, these clips right here, or these poles right here, are going to fit under these right here. Okay. Now the only flaw that I can see in this design is there's been three of us now, three Fresh Breeze owners that I know of that hook them up to the fly pod. It is super easy to hook up, but this part right here, if you can see this right here, is going to connect to this right here. It goes across this bar on the bottom. Now, if you see this piece, that piece right there, I had to machine and put in. Three of us Fresh Breeze owners have had that bar snap right there. I don't think it's a flaw in the Fresh Breeze manufacturing process. I don't think this machine is designed to be foot launch, so it goes on your back. But when that motor is on this fly pod, that is a pressure point. When the thrust applies, it pushes against that bar. And if you have a rough field or any kind of bumps, or if you're full throttling a lot going across the ground, that has to get you pushing. You know, I'm a big guy, so my weight, as well as pulling up the wing and keeping that all rolling, is a lot of pressure on that little bar that rolls back there. And I think it just snaps over time. There's a lot of pressure there. So I wish Fresh Breeze would kind of beef that up just a little bit maybe. But it is super simple to put on. And I'm going to show you here. We're going to set it up and we're going to do that. Okay, here we go. So we don't need that just yet. We're going to take this off of here. Put it over here. We'll take this off of this one and put it over here. Now this part's kind of cool. All I'm going to do is pick the machine up. I'm going to roll it back here and somewhat center it by those two clips. I'm going to put them in like that, and if you watch, if I give it a push, just simply bring it back to me and it is attached. And that's it. So from here, all we're going to do is put that bar, hopefully you can see what I'm talking about, but this bar right here will swing up and connect right here. So hopefully you can see that. But now it's just a matter of putting in a few pins. Put in a few pins to hold it there, and that's really it, guys. That's all there is to putting that motor onto that fly pod. Super simple. Okay, guys, just real quick, I wanted to show you the difference. This is the travel cap. As you can see, there's no vent. This is the cap you use when you're flying it. If you blow through here, it allows air in. That way it doesn't create a vacuum. So that's the cap you want to use when you're running the machine. All right, guys, everything looks tight on here. I'm going to go ahead and start the motor up. I'm going to turn the fuel valve on, let it go in there, and put the choke on, give it some pulls, and we're not going to do anything high rev or anything like that. I just want to start it up, and let's see how she sounds, right? You always want to check your throttle, give it a bump. That way you know it's not sticking and it's not going to turn on full throttle when you take off or when you start it up. Yeah, guys, second pull. That was just because I had the choke on. Let's turn that choke off and give her another shot. Okay, guys, It doesn't sound bad, right? There's still a few burbles, but I mean, honestly, it's just been shipped across 2 states and in a box for 4 days. So I think what I'm going to do now, I don't want to run it too hard until you get that motor warmed up a little bit, get some of that fuel in there to get some lubrication going. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it up and down the driveway a few times, see how she acts at full throttle, and go from there. But we'll let her warm up just a little bit. I want to double check some of the bolts again and make sure everything's tight before I do anything at high rev. So, but hey, it's running good. Idle and mid, it seemed to run pretty good. So let's see what she does at full throttle. Okay, so she sounded pretty decent, right? Going up and down the drive, I couldn't really hold the throttle on. There's no brakes on these things, so I didn't want to get up to too high of speed, but the thrust was there. Everything seemed good. I'm going to push it up against the side of the house here and do a full thrust on it, and let's see how that sounds. Wow, other than that little bang at the end there, that sounded amazing, did it not? It ran high at high RPM, seemed to be steady. There wasn't any kind of burbles or missing. Obviously the true test is going to be get her in the air. So so far she looks dry back there. I don't see a whole lot of anything back there. So hopefully maybe that was fixed as well. We'll know more after a longer flight. But yeah, guys, it's running, and it's running great. It seems to be no missing, a little burbling in the middle, but nothing like it was. So, Tim Garvey, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you getting your hands dirty, getting inside of there, and making that work for me. So, I'm going to go ahead and get that part ordered. We're going to get it on its way. And once I install that, which is the coil, Tim Garvey said I really needed to put a new coil on there. The wires were a little loose. So, once that part comes in, it's already ordered. Once that part comes in, hopefully next couple days, I'll install that, and then we can take her up for a flight and see how she runs in the air. But I want to take a moment, calm down, excited, my heart's pumping. She's running, sounded great. It's all back together. Now it's just waiting on the new part. So I want to take a minute and say thank you, Kurt, for allowing me to ship this machine to you, and thank you, Tim, for for all the hard work and effort you put into getting this running for me and get me back in the air safely. You're a great guy, man, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day without any kind of payment and just doing it out of the kindness of your heart. Tim, thank you so much. I owe you big time, man. Anytime I can return the favor, just ask, please. So until next time, hopefully from up in the air, this is Scary Barry signing off, and thanks, guys, for going along with the journey with me, and for all the support and all the pulling and getting her done. So I appreciate you guys, the kind words, the everything moving forward. I appreciate it. So until next time, let's get in the air, and thanks, guys. See you later. Scary Barry out.